Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Chris Seiter, founder of Ex-Boyfriend Recovery. Today we're going to be talking about when the no contact rule works. But before we begin, there are two things that I want to talk about with you today. The first thing is, if you haven't already, your first step, if you've decided you want to get your ex back, is to figure out if you have a chance of getting them back. Doing that is really easy. I've actually put together a special quiz on my website that you can take right here, right now. It should only take you about 2 minutes to complete. Simply look in the description link below this video. The link should be blue and it should, again, only take you 2 minutes to complete. We're going to be asking you questions about you, your ex, and your time together. And then based on how you answer those questions, we're going to run them through an advanced algorithm that we've designed based on our own personal experience and through interviewing lots of people who have gotten their exes back. We're going to spit out a score for you and you're going to be able to tell what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back. So again, if you're interested in figuring that out, simply look in the description link below the video. The second thing I want to talk to you about today is actually the fact that I've been doing companion articles alongside these videos. Look, I can only talk about so much throughout the video to get you to where you need to be. Sometimes I can write a lot more than I can think up on the top of my head. So if you're interested in learning more about this topic, all you have to do is, again, look in the description link and I should have the companion article outlined and have a link to it there. Now, clicking on that article will essentially give you the in-depth version of what we're talking about right here, right now in this video. So again, if you're interested in learning about that companion article, simply look in the description link below and there should be a sign that says companion article or something like that. Click on the link you see there and we'll hook you up. Okay, let's begin.
All right, so when does the no contact rule begin working? It's an interesting question, one that I'm going to answer in depth today. And also by answering it, we're also going to tackle a few other questions like why do people constantly fail the no contact rule and things like that. So the first thing I want to talk about here is what does the no contact rule working actually look like? This is going to kind of serve as our litmus test so that we can kind of compare and understand what, I guess more than anything, define what having it work looks like. And there's really two data points that I want you to consider when you're actually looking at this. Number one is your ex reaches out to you during no contact. That would be an indicator that it's working. But how they reach out to you is important. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. The second data point is how responsive your ex is after the no contact rule. So let's tackle data point number one before I jump to data point number two. And then after we kind of tackle these two data points, we're going to start looking at time frames and exactly when you can start expecting the no contact rule to work. So your ex reaching out to you during no contact, there are really two things that, in my opinion, you're looking for. You're looking for any kind of annoyance is actually a good thing. It's good if they're annoyed by the fact that you're ignoring them, because if you're ignoring them and they're annoyed, it means on some level they want to talk to you and they're annoyed by the fact that they can't talk to you. And also sometimes, and this is probably the rarest occurrence, but you're looking for some shape of begging. Specifically, you're going to see begging to talk to you again. So you can get a text that says, Cindy, assuming your name is Cindy. Cindy, why aren't you talking to me? Please talk to me. That's a good indicator that the no contact rule is working. And where there's kind of an interesting layer. There's multiple interesting layers that you can actually look at that we're going to peel back a little bit later. But for now, just the basics, bare bones material that you need to understand is if they reach out to you when you're in the midst of a no contact rule, you're looking for any kind of annoyance on their part and any kind of begging. But every once in a while, you'll get really, really stubborn exes and they won't reach out to you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the no contact rule isn't working. I can tell you multiple cases where I've gone through a breakup and literally will sort of get into my head that I'm not going to be the first person to contact her. She's going to have to be the one to contact me. And I stay stubborn, but that doesn't mean that I'm annoyed that she's not contacting me. That doesn't mean the no contact rule isn't working. It is working internally. It's just I have this stubborn front up. And really, you need to understand to measure that, you're going to be looking at how they respond to you after the no contact rule is up. When you actually do get back in contact, you're going to be looking at, you're going to be looking at really how responsive they are. right? So if you're getting back in contact with them and they're not very responsive, not a good sign. But it's not a good sign. It probably means that it's not doing its work. The no contact rule didn't work so much. But if you finish the no contact rule and they're very responsive, it's a good sign. In fact, we've actually had a case where one of our success stories, Jessie, who actually got married to her ex, was talking about how responsive her ex was after the no contact rule. And I'd like to play a quick clip from that for you right here, right now, so you can actually see it in action.
When we had dance parties with our girls was it. So I said, although I had not just listened to the song, I said, I just listened to this song that we used to dance to. And all I said was, it made me think of you. That was the end of it, and I sent it. And I knew I had a meeting to go to. So I sent it, I went to my meeting, and when I got back from my meeting, I just had a flood of text messages from him. He said something to the effect of, I miss you so much. I think of that song too. I've been waiting for you to contact me. It was just a flood of warmth.
Boy, that didn't take long at all.
No.
Basically, just tapping into that memory was enough for him to, like a volcano.
Yeah, I don't think 5 minutes passed between when I sent that text and when he responded to it. So it was almost immediate.
All right, so that was pretty cool with Jessie and everything, but let's move on and look at the 2 data points I want you to look at for when the no contact rule will actually work. This is more of a time frame. When can you expect it? How long will it take to work? Because that's ultimately what most of you clicked on this video for. That's mostly what you guys want to learn about. You want to learn how long it's going to take. Everyone always wants to learn how long it will take to get their exes back, how long it will take for the no contact rule to work, and I understand that. And there's 2 data points I want you to look at when it comes to this. Number 1 is the actual no contact time frame that you chose. And number 2 is a new concept that I've never talked about before that I just made up for the purposes of this video called the wave chart. So let's talk about the time frames first. There are actually 3 time frames that I recommend. The 21-day rule, the 30-day rule, and the 45-day rule. Now you're sitting there and probably wondering, well, Chris, which one do I choose? I'm actually not going to tell you that because it's a complicated matter to discuss, and one that I actually talk about extensively in my book, Ex-Boyfriend Recovery Pro, which you can actually pick up in the description link of this YouTube video. So if you're interested in kind of finding out which time frame you should be doing, which is you're going to find out is going to be important, especially when it comes to determining if the no contact rule is going to work, I recommend that you pick up my book. So for now, understand that I've actually designed these 3 time frames, and I'm the only one who does this, to my knowledge, out of any of the other expat coaches out there. I've got 3 time frames. Each person needs to figure out if they really need to partner with the 21-day rule as opposed to the 45-day rule and everything. And really, in order to understand how I came up with those time frames, we're going to need to look at something called the wave chart. Now, the wave chart is something I literally just came up with today that is designed to teach you or help you understand how people's interactions or emotions work during a no contact rule when it's being done on them. If you've ever had a no contact rule being implemented on you, you might recognize this. This is my wave chart, right? And on the left there, we have kind of a need to talk. So the higher that arrow gets, the more likely your ex is to want to talk to you. And on the bottom, we have time elapsed, right? So you'll notice some interesting things occur right off the bat when you implement the no contact rule. The need to talk is immediate. And that makes a lot of sense because when you break a pattern, when you've gotten established into a pattern over your relationship of talking to each other, let's say every single day, and all of a sudden you break that pattern, your ex is going to respond in crazy ways at the beginning. That's where you see most of when they reach out to you, them sort of being like, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you talking to me? Are you okay? Things like that. But after a while, they start to figure out what you're going through and start to sort of get a little annoyed with that. And that's where you can get some of those annoying texts where they're sort of like, I never liked you anyways, or any kind of negative text like that. That's because the need to talk to you is wavering. Once it wavers, it will bottom out, and they'll start to live there and start to understand or live in the reality of not being able to talk to you. And by trying not to think about you, it causes them to think about you even more, which causes them to want to talk to you again. Now, this is an important point to understand right here. Notice how there's kind of a wave to it. It starts off going up, then it kind of goes down, then it bottoms out, then it goes back up again, and then it goes down and stays down. right? Now, the time frames I picked are designed to literally end at this point. This is the point of when you want to get back in contact with your ex, after they've kind of gone through the initial roller coaster of wanting to talk to you again, then bottoming out, and then coming back and wanting to talk to you again a second time. You don't want to let it go past that. That is when you will want to talk to your ex. And luckily, with these 3 time frames that I talked about here, the 21-day rule, the 30-day rule, the 45-day rule, those 3 time frames are designed to end at this point, assuming that you sort of establish that, yes, you should be doing a 21-day rule. Yes, you should be doing a 30-day rule. Yes, you should be doing a 45-day rule. Partnering with the correct time frame is essential to figuring out when the no contact rule is going to work, because you need it to work at that second point. Technically, the no contact rule works the minute you implement it. Because, I mean, look at that. Look at this point right here. This rise immediately. But if you simply just contact them, at the top maybe of where this sort of peaks, it's not, you're not going to be able to be successful in getting your ex back. And most of the time, people, in my opinion, fail because they end the no contact rule prematurely. They end it at this point right here. And they're trying to talk to their ex when their ex doesn't want to talk to them. And a lot of times what happens is they reach out to their ex and it's bottomed out and they have no desire to talk to you at all. And you start freaking out and think the no contact rule doesn't work. But really what it is you misdiagnosed your time frame. That's why understanding which time frame you should be doing or should be implementing is essential to understanding when the no contact rule will work. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the details because it would literally probably take me an hour and a half to get through all the intricacies of, hey, a 21-day rule, you have to have this kind of situation. A 30-day rule, you need to have this kind of a situation. A 45-day rule, you need to have this kind of a situation. I've actually outlined that in my book. And again, if you're interested in figuring out and partnering with the right time frame, look in the description for Ex-Boyfriend Recovery Pro. It should be in the description if you extend it or something. But yes, the big takeaway I want you to leave you with is this point right here. This is the point in which you want to get back in touch with your ex. They've gone through the roller coaster of emotions. They understood what life is like without you, didn't like the life without you, and you can kind of continue going forward and set yourself up for success.